So, in the recent episode of Tell Your Tale, which I think is called Mayor Family Members or something like that, it focuses on the developing romance of Queen Haven and Alphabelittle. And everybody has said, and I do have to concede with this, that it is a very little cute, adorable episode because obviously the direction they're going here with this relationship in the story, in the context of the story, is, how it, impacts and infects, if you will, Zip and Pip, because Queen Haven is the mom, and Alphabelittle is, somewhat of a father figure to Izzy. So you can only imagine the story development and characterizations and everything, character growth and all that will come from this in the foreseeable future. But, what's interesting is we all knew that this was coming. I mean, basically they kind of teased it, hinted at it in New Generation. They kind of touched upon it in Make Your Mark Chapter 1. In the 8 episodes of Make Your Mark Chapter 2, I think they touched upon it. And, I really kind of, I wouldn't say focus on it, but talked about it, mentioned it, alluded to it. And then here in Tell Your Tale, these little animated mini episodes, you can definitely see that they have a little bit more free range to, explore and mess around with it to the heart's content. And then Winter Wish Day, I think they touched upon it a bit. And then who knows what they got planned for Chapter 4, which is the next 8 or 10 episodes they have in the pipeline. But I can say this. This to me obviously means that they're willing to incorporate romance into G5. They are. They're willing to incorporate romance into Make Your Mark, Tell Your Tale. They're willing to go all the way with it. Now, whether or not they fully commit, with Alphabelittle and Queen Haven to the point that he, basically pops the question and we, go full throttle after that, that's up to them and whether they want that to happen. Do they want that to happen in the Make Your Mark, series of episodes on Netflix? Or do they want it to happen on Tell Your Tale, which is YouTube and Netflix? Or YouTube first, then Netflix? Is that what they're going to, is that going to be the plan? We don't know. But it does, like I said, it does tell me that they're not afraid to incorporate romance. And whether or not romance does, get, involved with our main group, if you will, including Misty, because yes, there is a poster out there, or at least a promotional image that came out at the beginning of May about May Flowers, and there she is standing right next to the group like she's always been there. So obviously that's a bit of a spoiler, of the fact that Misty will probably be joining them real soon, fully and all that. But again, will romance incorporate the main group? That's another story. I mean, I know a lot of people want to see Sunny and Izzy get together, be a representation of LGBTQ, because that's pretty much in their eyes been hinted at since the movie itself, and I'm not going to deny that. And then, of course, you have, the various teasings, if you will, as people would look at it, of Hitch and Pip, through various Tell Your Tale episodes, and I think maybe 1 or 2 Make Your Mark episodes, as well as Pip and Zip, which has been teased in a very similar, if not same way. And, those are possibilities themselves. There are. And then if you want to throw Misty into the mix, you never know. You never know. And if you want to, throw, what's his name? I can't think of his name right now. Hold on for a sec. I can't think of his... Oh, Sprout, that's his name. It just came to me. If you want to throw Sprout into the mix down the line, then that's fine too. But apparently it looks like he might be with Posey. We don't know. Point that I'm getting at is, to me, with them, bringing romance, or at least developing a romance between Haven and Alphabelittle, throughout all portions of G5, Tell Your Tale and Make Your Mark, it definitely feels like to me that they're trying to really test the waters and see how fans will, be receptive, I should say, of romance in G5 in the for the foreseeable future. That's my thought. My thought is they're doing this because they want to see how fans will be receptive of it. Now, I have no problem with it because, as I've said before, especially with Spike and Rarity, and other things with G4, romance is an integral part in telling any story. Whether you support the ship or you don't, the pairing or you don't, romance is an integral part to help tell a story. So to me, if they're willing to commit to trying to develop and grow, this relationship, with Queen Haven and Alphabelittle and all that, to see how fans will be receptive of it, along with the teases that they have done in Tell Your Tale and Make Your Mark, whether it's LGBTQ teasing of Izzy and Sunny, whether it's teasing of Hitch and Pip or Hitch and Zip, or whatever the case may be. If they're willing to, test out, how fans feel about it, see how fans will be, very receptive of it, in the, years to come, or, in the months and years to come, I should say. Then again, like I said, I'm all for it because the romance can help tell a story, especially if it's a romance that's very, very unique like this one. Because not only are you telling not only are you committing and telling, the story of this developing romance between Haven and Alphabelittle, but you're also incorporating Zip and Pip with the fact that they gotta basically learn and accept the possibility that their mom might end up getting married to Alphabelittle, and he might end up being their stepfather, and they will end up being his stepkids. By de facto, if you will, Izzy could be somewhat of a stepsister, because again, I think I mentioned this earlier, Izzy is somewhat of Izzy looks at, Alphabelittle as somewhat of a father figure in her life. So, to go, for them to go in this direction, and do it in this manner, not only to see how fans would be receptive of it, but also in story to see and show how Pip and Zip could be, receptive of the fact that, hey, they could end up getting a unicorn as a stepfather, and by default end up getting their best friend Izzy as a stepsister, somewhat. It's an interesting take, but also at the same time, like I said, it allows us as fans to see them testing the waters to see how we would be receptive of romance overall in Generation 5. And whether or not, we'd be receptive of them taking it to another level, taking it to the next step, if you will, and, possibly testing it out with our main group or other characters associated with our main group. Because, one thing people look at with, let's say, Pip and Sparky, for example, yeah, Sparky's the baby dragon, but who's to say they won't do a Tell Your Tale or Make Your Mark episode where he kind of goes through a moment where he grows and he basically finally becomes somewhat like the Spike of G5, where basically, I think he has wings here, but he basically grows all of a sudden, boom, matures just like that. But he's basically still small because they still want to commit to the idea that, hey, if a dragon gets greedy, that's how they rapidly grow and all that. But as long as they're not greedy, they're fine. Who's to say they won't do that with Sparky? And maybe because of that moment, Sparky, he develops feelings for Pip. Who's to say that won't happen? I'm not saying it will, but you never know what creative ideas flow through the minds of the writers, if you know what I mean. But there are always those kind of possibilities. And like I said, you know, like I said, to me, I think they want to see how we'll be receptive of romance in G5, and maybe how we'll be receptive of it if they decide to take it to that next level and incorporate, romance with our main group or those associated with the main group outside of Haven and Alphabelittle. But we'll have to see. But to me, I'm fully cool with this. I have no problem with it. I like it. Obviously, as I mentioned earlier, I believe they were hinting at it. They were teasing it, from almost the start. So it's not a surprise that they want to fully see it through. Make this romance grow and maybe, have it, go to that next level to where, hey, these characters get married and, basically Pip and Zip get a stepfather and he gets stepkids, and by extension, they get a stepsister and Izzy. I wouldn't have no problem with that. But what do you guys think? Let me know what your thoughts are down below. Comment if you like. What do you think about the developing romance of Haven and Alphabelittle? How do you feel about it? How do you feel about, Pip and Zip's role in it and accepting the possibility that they may end up getting a stepfather and maybe even by extension a stepsister? What are your thoughts? Let me know down below. Comment if you like. Love to hear from each and every one of you on this. And until next time, guys, I will talk to y'all later. But yeah, give me your thoughts. Love to hear from you on this.